Did another rewatch of the Thursday night football game make us feel any better about the disaster that we saw? Spoiler alert, no. What is good, everybody? Welcome to the Gold Diggers podcast and the Gold Standard and the Fans First Sports Network. I'm your host, Rob Stats Guerrera, alongside Mimosa Michelle Majuk on a terrible Friday, December 13th, Michelle. It's Friday the 13th, and nothing is right in the 49ers world right now.
Season's over. I mean, it's over. I don't care if they're not mathematically eliminated. It's over. It was a pathetic way to go out with 0 touchdowns. The defense did their job. They held a good offense to 0 touchdowns, to 12 points. And the 49ers couldn't put together a drive. They did what they always do. They have the one big play and any given drive, and then it just stalls out. Everyone was bad last night. I thought Purdy played actually a fine game. I know you did not.
What?
Purdy played a good enough game to win that game, for
no,
sure.
No, he didn't.
Okay.
Not even close.
Deebo Samuel needs to be cut.
He's not the only one. De'Vondre Campbell needs to be cut.
I think he cut himself. I mean, I think he said he's done. He left the game at halftime.
So right now it's about 20 after 9 on the West Coast. I'm stunned he's still on the team. I'm stunned he wasn't cut. Did they even let him get on the bus? Like, what are we doing? That's a whole separate issue. Let's start with Brock Purdy, since we clearly disagree on Brock Purdy. I don't know how you could look at a game where you say, we scored 0 offensive touchdowns. We never reached the red zone of the other team. And I turned the ball over. And I had multiple throws that were way off. And say he played good enough yesterday. In what world?
He played much better than Matthew Stafford, who won the game.
Matthew Stafford didn't play well either. They both sucked. That's just in.
But so how is it? Like, so Purdy did have overthrows. It was a very rainy, terrible game, right? But also Deebo Samuel drops a dime that could have been brought to the end zone very easily by Deebo Samuel. Juwan Jennings drops a great pass. That was an amazing play by Purdy to step up in that pocket and to get that ball off without getting it out. Like him getting off that pass, and he put it right where it needed to go to Jennings. He dropped it in the first drive of the game when, or maybe it was the second. I don't remember. Whatever one when they got down there and they kicked their first field goal. That the pass to George Kittle, I guess, wasn't good enough for Kyle Shanahan. He then needed to run the ball. He then also needed to run the ball on third down to not even go for it on fourth down. I mean, taking the ball out of Purdy's hand in that situation when all he was looking at that point, because it was the beginning of the game, was that he was on. I mean, he was looking good. Like the fact that they took the ball out of Purdy's hands in that situation, ran the ball. And I said, well, they must be going for it on fourth down then. Like you don't run on 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 6, whatever it was. And then like Shanahan and his decision-making this year is just exhausting. So yeah, no, Purdy didn't play a perfect game, but he had plays in there that were really good, and he had enough plays to win the game, and the rest of the team really, I mean, the rest of the offense, I should say, it's just, can I say shit show? Sorry, you're going to have to bleep it out.
You can't say it.
Okay, well,
too late.
Bleep it out.
It's already out of your mouth. No one offensively except for Kittle was blameless in this game. Kyle Shanahan gets a huge piece of blame pot. I completely agree about that first third down call. I knew right there this game wasn't going to go for them because he was already making these stupid coaching decisions. And when Shanahan gets into this mindset, they're not going to win the game. I had no issue with them running on 3rd and 6. I was like, I liked it actually, because I think it gives you options. But then when he trotted out Jake Moody for a 53-yard field goal, I was like, that's just backwards. And to run it with Deebo Samuel too. That was
multiple times he ran it with Deebo.
But I want to finish our conversation on Brock. Don't worry, we'll get to Kyle. I got plenty for Kyle Shanahan. But Brock, like people love to cite the drops for Brock Purdy. Yeah, he had a couple of drops. A couple guys let him down. But you know what? He let down a bunch of people in this game. He sky-mailed Deebo Samuel on a 5-yard throw. Couldn't even get him in the hands. Threw it way over his head. He throws a deep ball to Ricky Pearsall 3 plays before his hideous interception. He throws a deep ball to Pearsall that is so bad, Ricky Pearsall has to come to a complete stop to try and catch it because it's so underthrown. And Brock had nobody in his face. He had room to step up in the pocket, which he did to throw, and the throw was still short. Again, nobody is blameless. But to sit there to me and say Brock Purdy was good enough last night when you didn't score an offensive touchdown, you couldn't even get to the red zone, and you threw a crushing turnover? No, man, I can't get on board with that. I just can't. And Brock couldn't either, by the way.
I mean, yeah, Brock's not going to say that's a good game. No one's saying it's a good game. But again, they win this game if Deebo just catches a ball. If he's not the worst player of all time, like what happened to Deebo? And the fact that he was whining before this game, so that like in the beginning, he's trying to give him carries too. Like that's not what this team needs at all. But the fact that he cried so much that Shanahan felt like he needed to get him more involved, and then to let down your team that bad, like an embarrassment from Deebo Samuel. And yes, Purdy's interception was hideous. I don't think he has the connection with Ricky Pearsall right now. That's hard to build when you didn't have time to build the connection with him. It's hard to build that deep connection with a guy that was not at practice, right? Not Pearsall's fault. He was shot, but like they didn't get to practice together. So there's a lot of things. The weather was terrible. I mean, Matthew Stafford's a great quarterback. He doesn't sail balls, right? And all night long, he was sailing balls. So clearly the weather was affecting the quarterback play because that's not something Stafford ever deals with either. I just couldn't believe that. How many interceptions could have Stafford thrown last night? How lucky was he getting?
At least 3. Now, one, I give Talanoa Hufanga a pass because he has a club on his hand. He only has one hand. It hit him in the chest, though, Michelle. And I actually told people on the preview show, I was like, Hufanga's like plus 546 to get a pick. Maybe you throw, because I figured like maybe it'll pop up in the air nice and soft and he might be able to grab it. And then sure enough, the damn ball goes right into his chest. Could have made me a little bit of money. But for the record, Brock Purdy agrees with me. Here's Brock after the game.
Like I had a lot of plays left out there that I could have made for our team. I thought the defense and special teams played so good. And, you know, that's what's hurting me is I just feel like I failed the team. That I could have been better for our offense and we could have put up more points. But Rams are a good team overall. But more than anything, for the way that we play on offense and our standard, I could have been better for sure.
1,000%.
He could have been better. Yes, absolutely. But also, like, that's why Purdy's a good leader. He could have had 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in this game. And if they lost, he would have said, I left. Like, he's never going to blame anyone else. That's not the type of player he is. He is a full-on leader. And yes, everything he said was true. But I don't think like you saying like, see, he said it too. Like, yes, he's going to say that. He's not going to call out Deebo for dropping a touchdown. Like, that's never going to happen.
Yeah, but sitting there and saying, well, we had a couple drops, so that lets Brock off the hook. Drops happen every game. Every game there are drops, okay? Great quarterbacks overcome it, and he couldn't overcome it. And he was it rained. It rained. Oh, we got to check the weather. Brock Purdy can't perform in the rain. I'm sorry, man. I'm not paying that guy $60 million.
You keep bringing the $60 million up. No one's going to pay him that. Like, he's not going to get that.
He's going to ask for it, and he should ask for it, by the way, because that's the market rate. The idea that you pay this guy, no way. Brock, you want to come back on your contract next year? Great. You don't want to come back on your contract next year? Great. We will trade you, and we will figure it out. I am not paying that guy. I don't even care if it's the Baker Mayfield contract. No, it's not good enough. What if it rains 3 games next year? What are we going to do? No, man. I'm out. I'm out on Purdy.
So you think the Rams should be out on Stafford because he was bad in the rain game?
No, not at all. Because guess what? Stafford won them a Super Bowl in his first year as a starter.
So Purdy goes to the Super Bowl in his first year as a full-time starter, and that's not good enough. But it only took Stafford, 20 seasons of its career to get to a Super Bowl. But
Brock Purdy can't play in the rain. You have to check the weather before every game. Matt Stafford, when the world was crashing down around them in the NFC Championship game, the year they won the Super Bowl, what happened? He stepped up, deep ball to Cooper Kupp, they get the field goal, they win the game.
The game that Jaquiski Tartt dropped a wide open interception.
Stafford stepped up and made the throws and the plays when he had to because he's an awesome.
You're looking at the wrong part of this team to get frustrated by. Brock Purdy is not the issue. The issue is the coaching. The issue is all the injuries. The issue is the decision making. The issue is no heart for most of these players. The issue is Deebo Samuel being the absolute worst. And they Isaac Guerrero didn't do anything less. Like, there was no running game. That was the difference, right? Kyron Williams was actually being able to, I mean, I guess it's not even like the efficiency was there for Kyron Williams, but the thing that Sean McVay didn't go away from was running the ball. He didn't care. He gave Kyron Williams 29 carries. 29 carries. And that was the difference, because Shanahan was like, oh, I only have Guerrero, so I can't feed him for whatever reason. And he tries to give the ball to Deebo sometimes, and then he just goes away from the run game. It was terrible decision-making all around. It has been for Shanahan all year long. This is not Shanahan's year. It was a bad year. He needs to fix things in the offseason. He needs to change his philosophy.
100% agree. It was a disappointing year for Kyle Shanahan. You knew it was going to go bad right from the jump, because what happened on the first play of the game? They throw a slant to Deebo Samuel, and you just knew. I was so worried after they tore up the Bears last week, going to Jennings and Kittle and running the offense through them. I was like, maybe he's finally seen the light, that this is how it needs to go. And then Deebo whines and complains, and Kyle denied it after the game. I could care less. You cannot tell me that they were not setting up Deebo Samuel and force-feeding Deebo Samuel because of that narrative and all that stuff. You can't
tell me. Squeaky mouse gets the wheel.
No. Now you flipped it. You flipped it. Last week it was the squeaky wheel gets the cheese, and now it's the squeaky mouse gets the wheel. You are. No, man, it was bad, and Kyle denied it, but you could, when you watched it, you could see there's no reason that Deebo Samuel should have as many targets in this game as George Kittle. None. 7 targets for Deebo, 3 catches for 16 yards.
Like I said, George Kittle's 33-yard catch to start the game wasn't good enough for Shanahan. He was like, you know what? That was so good. We're never going to go back to that. You know what? Like, let's just ignore that great play. And let's just ignore how good George Kittle is when we target him. It's just ridiculous thought process. It was bad. I didn't think Jennings had a good game overall either.
No.
He did not step up. He kind of showed in this game why you can't rely on him as a wide receiver 1, right? Like, he would be a good 2, but like, you can't go into a season thinking he's going to be your 1 ever. There's just there's too many injuries. There's too many issues built up. The Bears gave us hope because the Bears are a terrible team. That's what I said after that game, right? Like, yeah, it was a great game, but it was against the Bears. And then they come right back and stink, just like they have been all year long. It
was so disappointing. And I had such a fun show planned if they won, Michelle. I had all this stuff ready to go on my little mixer over here. It was going to be so much fun, and I never got to do it.
I fully thought they were going to win this game.
You know what happened?
Well, to start, and then as soon as the game started, I said, never mind.
I didn't think they were going to win, or at least I wasn't sure. And then I bought in. When I woke up on Thursday and Adam Schefter tweet came up and said Isaac Guerrero is good to go, I was like, oh, okay. And then all of a sudden later in the day, it was Dre Greenlaw is activated. He's going to make his return. I was like, okay. And then right before kickoff, Nick Bosa was going to play. I was like, holy crap, it's happening. Like, I'm not going to lie. I bought in. Like, I was like, we're going to do it. You know, like, I was hopeful. I was ready to get hurt again, and they hurt me.
They hurt us. I mean, it's done. It's over.
Mr. J Fizz says, I don't think the Niners are fully 100% meshed together as a team. That's why they're losing. Plus, Deebo needs to understand this is a team game. Deebo was all about Deebo last night. You could tell like that. He didn't want to catch that third down pass so that the 49ers could score a touchdown. He wanted to catch that third down pass so that he could put a tweet out after the game. See, I just need to get the ball. Deebo was all about Deebo. He returned a kick out of the end zone last night that he should have kneeled for a touchback. Why? Because Deebo wanted to make a play for Deebo. Like, that's who Deebo is about. That's who he's always been about. I'm done with him, man. He's got to go.
Well, now he has no trade value. So
that's one of the things that I brought up in today's 49ers in 5 is what do they do with Deebo the rest of the way? Do they say, thanks for everything, you're done, let's go with the youth? Or do they try and say, hey, we got to trade this guy. We got to build up his value in these last 3 games so that when we move him, we can actually get something for him?
I think you go on to the young guys.
I would, but
I don't think. What is Deebo going to do to add his value? Last week, when this offense was rolling, every time it went into Deebo's hands, that's when they looked bad.
Yep.
He is slow. He somehow his vision has gone away. I don't know. Like he can't find the lanes anymore. He like purposely is not going into the lanes. He's like running into the defenders. He like what is it going to matter if you let him stay out there and you feed him? He's going to still look terrible. Is he automatically just going to get better just because you want him to be able to up his trade value? Like he's not going to just randomly become a good player again.
I agree. He's going to get tackled. He doesn't break tackles anymore.
Where's Shane going? Let's see him.
Right. I completely agree with you. I'm all on board. The preparations for 2025 begin now. You want to see Purdy get chemistry with Pearsall? Well, put him in there and give him 7-8 targets a game. Like, let's go. All right.
The connection between Pearsall and Brock, though, is not looking good.
That's because Brock can't throw him a damn pass where he's supposed to. I mean, God, that underthrow, that could have been a touchdown. That could have been. If he throws it in the end zone, it's a touchdown. There's nobody behind Pearsall. And yet, not only did he not throw it in the end zone, Pearsall, again, he had to stop running. That's how bad the throw was. Just nothing was good on offense. Nothing was good, including Kyle Shanahan. We talked about that stupid Deebo Samuel run on 3rd and 6 on their first field goal drive of the game. I mean, just beyond the pale stupid. And Kyle wasn't asked, why did you do that? But I bet all the money in my pockets, if you asked him, he would have said, well, if we were expecting to gain more yards, and if it was 4th and 2, we were going to go for it. It's like, dude, you can't call that play unless you're definitely going for it on 4th down no matter what. That's what he doesn't get.
As soon as they ran the ball, I said, okay, I'm fine. Like, obviously they're going to go for on 4th. Cool. Like, I'm okay with that. And like there is no reason to run if you're not going to go for on 4th.
Nope. None at all. Especially when you haven't really been able to run the ball really that well all year for the most part. I mean, before Jordan Mason got hurt, they were okay at it.
When's the last time Deebo broke a rush? And that's the crazy part too. They ran him with Deebo. Like, when is the last time he's had a good run?
Mm-hmm. That's why you could tell they were trying to force it to him. They were trying to force, like, he got mad, and look, when Kittle got mad, they forced it to Kittle, and it worked out because Kittle's a way better player than Deebo Samuel right now. Yeah. It didn't work out last night. I totally disagreed with that from Kyle Shanahan. I thought that was just a terrible decision. Only 3 play action passes for the 49ers last night. I believe Brock had 11 play action passes last week. Where is the play action? It's the best thing you do, Kyle Shanahan. They only ran 3, and 1 was the first play of the game on the incompletion to Deebo Samuel. They ran another one in the first quarter, and then they didn't do play action again until the 4th quarter, Michelle. It's inexplicable to me why he has just suddenly stopped using the best thing that he does.
I don't understand how this team fell so fast, so hard, so fast.
I mean, it's a combination of a bad year from the head coach and play caller, a bad year from the quarterback, a bad year with injuries. It's all and I mean, defensively, last night, I will say, they were awesome. Defensively, they were awesome. And the rumor is, and I know you're gonna love this, Michelle, but there are definitely rumors flying around the 49ers Twitter sphere that Brandon Staley has been calling the defense the last 2 weeks, where the defense has looked much, much better. I have no idea if that is true.
If Brandon Staley's the DC next year, then we can just hang it up now. They're not making the playoffs again next year.
Dre Greenlaw was awesome last night. For him to come out not having played in almost a year, coming off the Achilles, getting thrown in there and making 8 or 9 tackles, second on the team in tackles, only to Fred Warner, who tied a career high with 15. Dre Greenlaw is a psycho, man. He's unbelievable. I love him. Please bring him back. I don't care if he's not what he once was. He made such a difference. You could tell immediately.
But also, let's keep him healthy the rest of the year, because he was struggling after those first. I mean, he played on each of the first 11 defensive snaps, and then he was winded. He was dealing with some soreness. He didn't get to finish out the game. So I don't know. Like, with the season done, do you just let him rest the rest of the season?
Yeah, I think it depends. Like, he said his knee felt weird and his Achilles was sore. He said he expected that. He hasn't played in a while, and then you go to like maximum effort. I'm sure your body is going to be sore and stuff. If that's all it is, then I think you do play him the rest of the way, because he does kind of need to play his way into shape. If it's anything more than that, though, you can't, because number one, he can't because he's a free agent after the year, and if he gets hurt again, he's not getting another contract. So he's got to protect that side of it. And of course, obviously, you don't want anything else to happen with the Achilles. And they let him speak to the media after the game, which to me says he's more than likely okay, unless it suddenly got worse overnight. Because usually they don't let you talk to the media if you're really hurt in any way. And he did speak. He blew me away last night.
Was De'Vondre Campbell just mad because Dre Greenlaw was back and took his snaps?
Yes. Well, and because D Winters played over him also. But it's like, guess what, De'Vondre? You suck. Okay. You're bad. That's why you lost your spot. You're not good. And for you to just refuse to go in the game, think about that, Michelle. Think about everything that Mooney Ward has gone through this year. And he's out there playing. He went through a horrific family tragedy. He's out there playing. Ricky Pearsall almost died. He got shot through the chest. He's out there playing. And De'Vondre Campbell's mad and pouts and goes home because he got demoted for an all-pro and a rookie that's looked better than him every step of the way. I mean, you could tell by what the players said afterwards that they were infuriated with De'Vondre Campbell. I've never seen anything like that in a Shanahan locker room. It was stunning to me.
I wonder if the reason why we haven't seen him cut, I wonder if they'd owe him money if they cut him and they want him just to quit because that's what he did.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You got to cut him. It's not about him. It's about everybody.
Yeah, but you don't want to give him money.
I don't care. Forget the money. It's bigger than that. You have to send a message to everybody else in the locker room. What does your boy Tomlin say as you're sitting here?
What's the message? Like, oh, you can quit and get all the money and be like laugh at the team that you don't have to play and still get the money?
It's you don't want to be here. We don't want you here. We can't tolerate any of that. You can't keep him on the team. First of all, if he goes back in the locker room, he might get the crap beat out of him. Like,
that might be the best thing that can happen.
Listen to George Kittle after the game talking about De'Vondre Campbell.
Look, if you're on the roster, and you suit up, you're expected to play. I think anyone in this building that got asked to go in, I would say 100% of everybody would die to get on that football field. And so, people are going through random things off the field. I can't speak on that. Whatever, his decision was, it wasn't for this organization. It wasn't for this team. And no, that's on him. So, not very happy about it. I would have something to say. I wish I would have heard about it on the field, but I didn't. Now, is that the reason we lost? Absolutely not. But you don't really it's hard to win football games when someone doesn't want to play football.
Can you imagine if Kittle found out about it on the field? There would have been a sideline blow up. I think Kittle would have fought him on the sideline. That would have been the national video from the game. It would have been 49ers are so discombobulated they're fighting each other on the sideline.
I don't know how Campbell would even get another. He just basically retired from the NFL last night.
I think so.
How would anybody else sign him when you know he can quit on you at any time in the middle of a game? Like, your career's done, bud. You're an idiot.
Think about that. In a game that's going to come down to field goals, right? Or clearly a defensive struggle. They need you desperately. You've lost Dre Greenlaw. You've lost D Winters because he got hurt in the game also. You had Fred Warner, you had Demetrius Flanagan-Foles, and you. That's it. And you know that. I'm sure De'Vondre Campbell was aware of that. And you still said no. Poor Demetrius Flanagan-Foles had a knee injury. He was gimping around out there. He could barely walk. Yet he's out there playing because you are healthy and you refuse to go in the game. I mean, that is the cardinal sin, unwritten rule in the NFL locker room. I was stunned.
Hopefully he gets the therapy he needs.
Here's a little more George Kittle.
I don't like distractions on the sideline. I think that's ignorant, and I think it's just dumb. It's just stupid, and it's very immature. And I just don't. I don't see how that's a. I just don't see how you can do something like that to to your team.
Yeah, that's it. You did it to them. It wasn't like, oh, you put a middle finger to the coaching staff or anything. It's like you did this to your brothers, to your people in the locker room that are risking their bodies and their brains for everything with the season on the line. It's not like this was the last week of a season where you're 6-10, right? You still had something to play for and you bailed.
Listen, also, It's not like, so it wouldn't even been an excuse if he's young, right? But if he was young coming out of school, used to always being the best, and it really hit his ego that he like, that would be one thing. It'd be really terrible as is, but you're an old man, right? Like he's been in this league a long time. You're not a youngin'. There's no excuse for this at all. And also it's not like you've been playing well. You have to know that. I mean, listen to Brock Purdy. He says, I'm not playing well. Like if he got benched, I'm sure Brock Purdy would just say, yep, you know what? I was not playing well enough. I got benched. And if he was ever given the opportunity to come back in, he would have sprinted out there, but excited. Like those are football players. De'Vondre Campbell, you're not meant to be in this league. You're done. Obviously now, I don't think anyone's going to sign him. Bye. And I hope he gets no money. Like there has to be a clause in there. If you refuse to play in the game, you don't get the rest of your contract.
Did you see the old De'Vondre Campbell tweets that have resurfaced since what happened last night?
No.
Oh God. Apparently at some point he had some tweets here. Let me see if I can bring them up really quick. Let's see. Like talking about quitting football, which obviously now look hilarious. He said, I'm too handsome to be beating up my body like this in 2013. He said that.
Jeez.
He said 2013, October 18th, quote, I need to quit football and just be a model. I'm handsome as bleep. Dog, I shouldn't be beating my body up like this. And then he said, I should just quit football and be an underwear model.
I guess I've never seen a picture of him without a helmet on, but is he a good looking guy? I don't know.
I mean, it's perfectly fine. I wouldn't say he's like a model or anything. He's perfectly fine.
Yeah. Now I need to look him up.
Mr. J. Fizz says he's going to be known as the quitter. Watch. Yeah, it's just bad. I mean, Mooney Ward was talking about it afterwards in the locker room. He's like, he's going to be cut. I mean, Moody always keeps it a buck anyway, but yeah, that was not ideal. And you know what else is not ideal? I just saw this, Michelle. De'Vondre Lenore has this habit of talking after losses that drives me absolutely crazy. And here's the tweet from De'Vondre Lenore. Everybody's favorite Twitter follow, Dove Kleiman, talked about Cooper Kupp, who had no catches yesterday. Mm-hmm. Great. And De'Vondre Lenore quote tweeted it and said, conditioning test, which is like, dude, okay.
You lost.
You lost the game, dude. Shut up. And I love you, De'Vondre Lenore. You're awesome. You're the best corner on the team. You're physical. I love your attitude. I love all the swag that you play with, but you got to stop talking after losses, dude. You have to stop talking after losses. You look so tone deaf and so unaware. Who cares that you like? Shouldn't you be upset that you lost instead of happy that you held Cooper Kupp to without a cat? Like, what are we doing?
It's not even that they just lost. Like they pretty much knocked you out of the playoffs this season. It was the first time Cooper Kupp was held without a catch since 2019 against my Steelers. So, I mean, it's an impressive feat. Don't get me wrong, but like you can give yourself a little pat on the back secretly, you don't,
right.
Or let other people pat you on the back too. You don't need to talk trash to the guy who just beat you. Like not technically Cooper Kupp didn't beat De'Vondre Lenore, but his team beat your team. And that's all that matters at the end of the day.
That is a crazy stat from Next Gen Stats, though. Cooper Kupp ran 4.69 miles last night. No catches, no yards, no touchdowns. That is absolutely wild. Okay, got a couple super chats here that I need to get to. I apologize. Let's see. Antonio says, Deebo Samuel's PFF grade since week 11. 55.5, 45.5, 55.9, 61.9, 44.7. 5 straight weeks he's had less than 25 receiving yards, Michelle. He's a $23 million a year kick returner. That's what he's become now.
And a part-time kick returner at that.
Well, now they got him back there full-time because they don't give a crap if he gets hurt, which is before it was like, we can't do it. It's too risky. Now they're like, sure, Deebo, go ahead. Take it out of the end zone.
I don't know if did Deebo train at all this summer because it doesn't seem like it. Doesn't seem like he got his body ready for this at all.
No, don't you remember all the stories? Oh, Deebo Samuel.
Best shape of his life.
Skinny Deebo this year. That should have been the first clue. Anybody shows up to training camp in the best shape of their life, you know they're going to suck. I've never had a guy show up in the best shape of his life and actually have a good year. It's always some bullcrap puff piece. Oh, now he's trying really hard. Like, what happened in the other seasons then? No. And the fact that after the game, Kittle, I guess, pulled Deebo aside and was talking to him before Deebo met the media. And they asked Deebo and they asked Kittle. Kittle didn't really say much, but they asked Deebo, like, what did George say to you? And come to find out, Kittle basically told him how to address the media. You have to wear this. You have to take responsibility. You have to acknowledge it. And Deebo did. After the game, he said, I got to catch that ball. If I catch that ball, we win the game. But like, dude, Deebo Samuel's the captain. He shouldn't need to be pulled aside by another captain and told how to react in a time of crisis. You're 29 years old, Deebo Samuel. You still need to be told this? See, that's like, you can't be a captain. The culture of this team has to change. The fact that that guy was a captain, he's supposed to be the example to everybody. No, man. No, he can't. No.
He 100% won't be on this team next year, and the team will be better for it.
Becca, 49ers Giants Sharks, YouTube channel member, says, flying to Miami from West Virginia for the game next week. Hopefully they play better, so my trip will be worth it. Having a few mimosas today with you. We didn't ask, Michelle, what are you drinking today? Mimosa? Anything else?
I have a mimosa. I have my shaken espresso, and of course my water.
It's triple threat. Michelle's got the 3 beverages going. The beverage goblin is in full effect. JCG 1987 says the 49ers continue to game plan as if Deebo commands the defense's attention. Those days are long gone. Sorry excuse of a captain. Kittle deserves better. This is the part that I'm having trouble reconciling, Michelle. When they originally extended Deebo Samuel, they gave him a 3-year extension, which is generally shorter than a contract extension for a superstar. And I remember saying at the time, this is smart by the 49ers because they recognize that this is not a player that's going to age well, right? When he loses his incredible burst and tackle breaking ability, he doesn't have the hands. He doesn't have the route running skills. He doesn't have the other abilities that players that get older can use to compensate for some loss of physical ability. So I thought it was so smart by the 49ers, like, hey, they recognize what's going to happen down the line. And instead, they're still treating him like it's 2021.
I don't even know what they're doing wrong, honestly. Like, I don't know if it's Shanahan not using him the same way. Maybe the offense isn't blocking as well for him the same way. I really thought the Bears game was the most eye-opening to how much Deebo has really fallen down, right? Like, you could blame a lot of his struggles on the offense throughout the years, right? Or throughout the season, I should say, because the offense was struggling for a decent part of the season. You could say, okay, everyone's kind of struggling, the blocking struggling. But last week, when this offense was clicking, there is still one bad piece of this offense, and it was still Deebo. So that's why I'm willing to take away the rest of what's happened this season. And when I'm just evaluating Deebo and saying, no, Deebo is done. Like, he doesn't have it anymore. It doesn't matter what kind of situations we put him in or how friendly is. Like, you couldn't put him in a more friendly situation last night. Like, he just doesn't, unfortunately, like, careers in the NFL don't last very long, and his might be coming to an end here shortly.
If you are a team that's trading for him, go look at what the 49ers fan reaction will be to that trade, and that should tell you should be worried.
They're not going to get anything for him. Maybe a 6th rounder.
That's great. I'll take it. I will happily take it.
But, does he have any money? How much money is left? That will also determine.
He's got another year. He'd probably want a new contract, though. I think that would be part of the whole thing.
A new contract for way less money.
But I don't care. I don't care if they get a 6th-round pick. I need him gone because the culture of this team has to change, and he's a huge part of the culture. Him, Juice, huge part of the culture. Has to change. The Unfaithful Perspective, sorry I missed this super chat earlier, says, I'm a Niner fan, have been for 25 years. I want what's best for the team always, and that isn't Purdy. He's not good enough. It's that simple. I think what makes it tricky with Purdy is I don't know that there's anybody out there arguing he's an elite guy, but what they are arguing is he's really good, and it's hard to walk away from a really good quarterback, especially with no backup plan in the works.
Who are you going to replace him with?
Keep trying until you find the guy. That would be my answer. I don't know, but I got to keep trying until I find the guy.
So you're just going with a rookie next year?
I don't think they're going to let Kyle go with a rookie because let's face it, if he misses the playoffs next,
who are you getting for a vet that's less expensive than what Purdy would be?
Well, nobody would be less expensive because he's the cheapest guy. Now you're going to have to re-sign him, you would think, to a contract. I don't think they're going to let Kyle go rookie because you want your coach and your quarterback aligned. And if Kyle misses the playoffs next year, he could very well get fired. So it's like, you don't want to let him draft a guy this year only to fire him next year. That would be weird. You know what I'm saying?
Also, can you trust him to, draft a guy after Trey Lance?
That's possible too. Now, they also got Brock Purdy. So granted, it was Brian Greasy that found him, but like they found a guy. So
but I found a guy that you guys aren't happy with. So still, you didn't find the guy.
Right.
You guys are saying Brock Purdy's not good enough.
You found a guy.
Found a guy. But you're saying, no, they need to just keep going until they find someone. Well, when's that going to be? Because so far, they're 0 for 2 in your guys' mind for drafting.
Yeah. It's like when you're shopping for a new house, right? You say no 1,000 times until you say yes, until you find the one. There's way more no's than yeses. That's exactly the same way when you're looking for a franchise.
You haven't bought a house in a long time, sweetie, then. When did you last buy a house?
2019. What are you talking about?
Have you tried to buy one recently in the last couple of years? There is no saying no. Do you know how hard it is to find a house that you can, you have to meet? When we were buying our house, if we didn't put in an offer that day, we have to put in the offer in the house we have right now before we even saw the house. We couldn't even come see it yet because we would have lost out on it. You know how hard it is to find a house? That's how hard it is to find a quarterback right now. So you have it flipped.
You never saw a listing where you were like, I don't want to move into this place. Yeah, that's what I mean.
I mean, yes, I'm listening, but I'm saying like, it's I was just saying that analogy was bad because right now it's so hard to get a house, just like so hard to get a quarterback that you kind of just got to take one when it's good, when it's a solid one. And then you can make it better, which we did to our house.
That's a terrible philosophy when shopping for a quarterback because you can't make it better. What can you do to fix the issues with Brock Purdy? He has bad decision making. He forces balls when he doesn't need to. And his arm is physically limited. And I think it'll come out after the season that Brock Purdy is hurt again. And so what can you do to fix that? It's not like putting in a crown molding on a house. Like the foundation is busted.
I think Brock Purdy is a top 10 quarterback in this league. And I don't think, no, you do not pay him $60 million. You don't. And I don't think that's what he's going to get. Like, I really don't. But if you can get him for $45 million on a couple-year contract, like you take that. And for some reason, you don't want to do that. I just don't know. If you're saying you're not going to get a rookie, right? You don't think they'll do a rookie. Who are you signing that's going to be worth anything for less than $45 million? Like, there's no one out there.
Nobody I'd be happy with.
Exactly.
If I had to chart the 49ers options right now, I would say Kirk Cousins, because I think his time in Atlanta is quickly coming to an end. I don't want Kirk Cousins, but I'm not saying these are guys I want. I'm saying these would be the options. Kirk Cousins.
Have you not realized recently how much scheme and system has to do with all these quarterbacks? Like, look at Kirk Cousins leaving Kevin O'Connell and all of a sudden falling apart. Sam Darnold going to Kevin O'Connell and all of a sudden looking much better, like the best he's looked in his career by far, right? Geno Smith finally getting in a better system. Now he hasn't been as good since not having whoever he had a couple years ago. But the system is what matters with these quarterbacks. And that's really it. Like, that's why I'm blaming Kyle Shanahan. We've already seen Brock Purdy be so good with Kyle Shanahan. We know what he is capable of when his guys are healthy. Even last year, he didn't have a good offensive line. We don't know how messed up his shoulder is. It's like we're giving up on a guy who has shown such great potential at such a young age, who has brought this team to an NFC championship and then didn't get to play in it, and then brought a team to a Super Bowl. Like, it's just so crazy to me that this fan base is ready to give up on him just because of, not being lights out in a year that this team is just, why is this all put on him? Like, there's been terrible play all around. And the play calling has not been good this year. I don't know. Like, giving up on him just sounds crazy.
It's not all on him. Of course, it's not all on him, but you're the quarterback, dude. It's mostly on you. You're the biggest. That's how it works. That's the job. You get most of the credit and most of the blame. I saw this tweet from Jesse Naylor, who said Brock Purdy in his career in the fourth quarter in a 7-point game has a 57.4% completion percentage with 3 touchdowns, 6 picks, and a 68 rating. Not ideal. I'll say that. It's not all his fault.
I'd have to look at the game by game, see if it's like one game. Like, how many games are there? What's the sample size? Is there one game skewing it where he had like 4 interceptions? Like, you got to look at the data to actually know if that matters or not. But
it's not good. That's not good. Again, it's not all his fault. but he has to take some of the blame. He has to. And look, if he wanted to come back next year under his current deal, I'd love to have Brock Purdy back next year. Great. Finish out your contract. I would be thrilled. But he's not going to do that, and he shouldn't do that. He should ask for more money. He deserves more money than he's getting paid, 100%. That's the issue for me, is that the money, it's one thing to get this level of production when you're paying him $2 million a year. It's another thing to get this level of production when you're paying him 30, 40, 50, 60, whatever it would be. Whatever it would be. And why should he ask for
I just
less?
don't know who you're replacing him with.
Nobody good. Sam Darnold would be an option. You know how I feel about Sam Darnold. I want no part of Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold would not be better than Brock Purdy in this offense. Like, if you had Sam Darnold this year, the team would not be any better.
I'm not saying they would. I'm just telling you what the options are. I'm not saying I want any of these, Michelle. I'm telling you what the options are. That's the difference. It's Rodgers, it's Cousins, it's Darnold.
Oh my goodness, though. That would be so bad. Yikes.
I don't want any of those, but
You could have Russ.
what's his contract situation? Is he
He's
on
a
one
free
year?
agent after this year. I mean, he's going to be the Steelers quarterback, but
Yeah, we'll see. The Unfaithful Perspective, thank you very much for the super chat, says you keep trying until you find the guy. At this point, Brock Purdy has shown as much bad as good. He isn't really good. The mean is average, I think. The mean is Av, who sometimes does very good things. You root for two teams you wouldn't understand. Ooh, getting a little personal there at the end. That was a shot, a jab right to the face.
I rooted for a team now the last few years who have had some really bad quarterback play. And I noticed that Brock Purdy is a actually really good quarterback. So
yeah, so like I said, that's what's making this tricky. It's not like Jimmy Garoppolo, right? Where you're like, he's so bad. Like, he's bad. So you're not worried about moving off of him. It's a much better player than Jimmy Garoppolo. It is a player who's done a lot of good things in the league. The question is not, is Brock Purdy good? The question is Brock Purdy good enough?
I think he can be.
Maybe. I think maybe not. Matthew,
It can't just all like, I don't know. You can see Joe Burrow right now is playing out of his mind, and he's 4-8.
Mm-hmm.
The team matters.
Is anybody
Injuries matter.
Is anybody saying Joe Burrow's not good though? That's the difference.
But the thing is, Brock Purdy was amazing last year. No one was saying he was good either.
Yeah, he's worse this year.
No one's going to give Purdy credit no matter what, though. So Brock Purdy could be doing what Joe Burrow's doing, and he wouldn't be getting the credit.
I would be giving him the credit. I was giving him credit early in the year. I thought he was playing at a super high level. I said early in the year, nobody's playing at a higher level than Brock Purdy. And since then.
And this is why quarterbacks should never play while dealing with an injury. Because this is what happened to Baker Mayfield in Cleveland. He got run out of town because he wasn't good enough. And, they needed to upgrade to Deshaun Watson. And they have been that's what's going to happen to the 49ers. Brock Purdy's not going to be good enough for y'all. You're going to try to upgrade. Brock Purdy could go somewhere else and assist. He would have to go to another good system. That's the type, just like Baker had. He went to the Panthers, sucked. He finally found a good system, and he looks much better again. But even Baker has never had the success that Brock Purdy has had. Not even close.
But that's my point. Baker's looked better, right? Are they a threat to win the Super Bowl? Hell no. Is Baker that good? No. He's mid.
But the Browns, what the Browns needed over the last few years? Just an average quarterback is what they needed. Instead, they had the worst quarterback ever because they tried to upgrade and it was miserable.
Well, but see, those are two separate things. The decision to move on off of Baker Mayfield is one thing. And then
he was the heart of that team.
Who you get to replace Baker Mayfield is a separate decision. I think
Baker played through the shoulder injury, and that's what got him kicked out of town. And if I was a quarterback, I would never play through a single injury because people do not care if you're injured. They do not care. Your performance is going to be graded the same way no matter what. And they will move on from you in a second, even if you tough it out. Because I'm sorry, an injured Brock is still much better than Braylon Allen. So I'm happy he's been playing through it. But if I was a quarterback, I never, ever, ever would play through an injury.
For any player, if you're out there, you can be judged on your performance. I don't give you you're hurt. It's like, well, you said you could do this and you can't. So I fully.
You would like the coach to work around the injury.
I fully expect that we're going to hear that Brock is hurt after the season. Matthew Rowley says, between Brock and Kyle, I'm way more understanding of giving up on the coach that has been flummoxed by the riddle that is man coverage. Like I said, Kyle hasn't been good this year either. There's no question about it. anyone that says that he's been perfect is not watching the games. It's the combination of all of that. Kyle hasn't been good. Brock hasn't been good. Guys have gotten hurt. The defensive coordinator, I don't know what to think of it. They looked absolutely flummoxed at times this year. And the last 2 games, they looked awesome. So it's like, what the hell? But it's everything. It's everything coming together and just this season collapsing under its own weight. And so now we got to figure out who sticks and who goes. Nick Bosa said it after the game. We're going to find out who's going to be here in the next few years. And that's what the last 3-4 games are about.
It is. And I do think that's why they need to be playing the younger players. And I don't want to see Deebo in the field anymore. You know what he is. You know he's not going to be a part of your future. So, he can be out there at times. So you don't have to completely bench him. But we need to see more Jacob Cowing. We need to see what he is. Is he a viable option for you to be not a starter, but a role player next year, right? Or do you need to keep looking for more wide receivers? You need to evaluate everybody right now, and it can't be just the same old. Give Isaac Guerendo 25, like Kyron Williams was fed last week. That should have been the same thing with Guerendo. I know Guerendo wasn't doing great, but I wanted them to just keep feeding him because sooner or later he was going to break a long one. But because, Shanahan is very, very impatient with the run game. And especially if it's not Christian McCaffrey out there, he gets very impatient with it and he moves on from it and he gives up on it. And then they weren't even using play action last night either. So it was just a disaster.
I think that Kyle is in a situation now because he hasn't been good that people have their Kyle criticisms ready. If he sticks with the run and it doesn't work all night, it's Kyle's stubborn. He doesn't adjust, right? If he goes away from the run.
No, I was saying it on the first couple runs, he got stuff. And I said, I want them to just keep running him all night long. That's what I said immediately. I thought Shanahan should have done that. It's a rainy game. The other team is doing that same thing, right? Running it nonstop, even though it's not super efficient, but wear down the defense. And you have a guy that is incredibly fast. Sooner or later, he's going to break one, but they just kind of went away from it.
Their offensive. First of all, why was Aaron Banks back in the starting lineup? What has Aaron Banks?
Who is the guy that they showed for Trent Williams?
Oh my God. That was the best. And at first, so I was watching Prime Vision and I thought maybe this is they just pipe in the announcers and they don't pay attention to what the broadcast is showing. So I just figured oh, this is Prime Vision. It's a special thing. They have the one camera, whatever. But I didn't realize that was not the case. That they just flat out. Oh God. Oh.
It looked nothing like him.
They go back later in the game and they do it. And it's okay, that's
he wasn't even on the sidelines. That's the funniest part. Trent Williams is up in the booth or up in a suite. Hilarious. I was like, who is this guy that they're showing? But who was it?
I can't remember who it was, but here's the thing. So I used to produce a TV show, so I can tell you behind the scenes how it works. They don't just go to a camera and it's well, whatever that person chooses to shoot, it's on the air. The director gets in the cameraman's or camerawoman's ear and says, hey, give me a shot of Trent Williams. And then that person goes to find Trent Williams. And then before the shot ever gets on the air, everybody in the control room has a chance to look at it. And what that means is nobody in that control room said, that's not actually Trent Williams. And then they took the shot and it was just lingering there. And I was like, oh my God, what is happening?
And then even the announcers not being well, that's not Trent, but just saying how Trent Williams is a superstar in this league. He's the best left tackle for the last decade. Come on, what are you doing? You have to know what he looks like. And it wasn't even close. It wasn't even close to what he looks like. He had a beard. That's it.
One of the people on the desk for Amazon after the game, I think, brought it up. They made a reference to it, which I thought was hilarious. It was, nobody had a good night last night, not even the broadcast. Matthew Rowley says, don't want to give up on either this year, though. JCG 1987. Injuries matter, but this team did nothing to get depth like in years past. Brock's potential contract makes more seasons like this one a possibility. That they're like a blow pop. This roster is like a blow pop. Fat at the top, nothing on the bottom. When you have so many guys making so much money, the depth is where you pay. And when you've had a bunch of injuries on top of that, that cuts into your already weak depth, then you got nothing there. And that's what has happened to this team this year.
Yeah, we were very worried about the depth coming in, and it came back to bite them. I mean, the injuries started in the offseason, and they just kept going and going and going.
They didn't have enough healthy players to do a joint practice with the Saints over the summer. They didn't have enough healthy players to practice. They were missing, I think it was 13 guys at one point. That's just unbelievable. Antonio, YouTube channel member, thank you very much for the donation. Antonio says, Purdy has played average this year when everything around him fell apart. It is an absolute floor of average quarterback play and an absolute ceiling of MVP candidate when things are working, not good enough.
Thank you, Antonio.
No, it's not. That's what the whole discussion has been about. It's not good enough. No one's saying it's not good. Is it good enough? For me, it's not. I mean, I don't think so. No. Lamar Jackson got drafted at the end of the first round. He's won 2 MVPs, okay? Like, don't act like there's no possible way you could find a quarterback. That's the
what Kyle Shanahan won with Lamar. This is my question too. Can Shanahan build up a mobile guy like that? I mean, he tried to take it with Trey Lance. He never even gave him a shot. He never even worked to make him better, right? Would he have ever even had the patience with a Lamar Jackson, with a Josh Allen? I don't think he would have. Like, Josh Allen probably would have went the Trey Lance route. If he was drafted by a Kyle Shanahan team, the way Josh Allen was so bad to start his career as a passer, and the only way they could stay in games was him running the ball, Shanahan would have never gave him the shot to last that long to turn into superstar and give him the work he needed. So that's I don't think Shanahan has it in him to get one of these guys that can be such a difference maker in this league and be patient with him enough to give him the time to get to that level, because it doesn't typically happen fast. Like, you need to work with them. You need to give them the playing time. And Shanahan has never been patient to do that.
It's a fair question. It's a completely legitimate question. Here is one thing that I think could make a big difference. One of the issues with the whole Trey Lance situation is you took a quarterback that was going to need the most development time and you plunked him down into a team in a Super Bowl window. And I don't know this, and if you may think I'm apologizing for Kyle Shanahan, but what I think is part of the reason he was impatient is because he was like, we got a chance to win a friggin' Super Bowl. I can't waste it waiting on this guy to develop. So that's part of the reason why I think he was like, we got to get rid of this guy. And obviously the injury was a major factor as well. Now, the 49ers are not in that window, right? They are not in a Super Bowl window. They have a much better roster than when he took over. But I feel like that urgency is not quite there. Does that give Kyle more patience? I don't know. Nobody knows. But it's going to be interesting to see if they go that route. And again, I don't think they're going rookie. I think they're going to pay Brock. For the record, I think that contract is going to get done lightning quick. It'll get done January, February. I would not be shocked at all.
Yeah, this is not one they need to be waiting on, because you don't need other quarterbacks to get paid. You don't need mediocre quarterbacks to get paid out there to lift up his. Just pay him right away. I think it should be around the $45 million for 3 years. You don't have to make it long. Again, like, I know maybe his agent's going to be asking for 60, but I do think Brock is in a situation right now where he knows another team's not going to pay him, right? He can't request a trade. This is the team for him. And
trade.
What'd you say?
He can request a trade.
Yeah, but
I don't know. The Jets, if they got rid of Aaron Rodgers, they wouldn't want to pay Brock Purdy.
No.
Why not?
The Jets?
If they got rid of Rodgers, they're going to need a quarterback.
They're a rebuilding team.
Yeah, right. So why wouldn't they want Brock Purdy?
Brock Purdy has to be in the right system. 100%. I just said how much quarterbacks matter for their system. So that would be he would have to go into a Kyle Shanahan type system, a good Kyle Shanahan type system, to be good. I mean, just like Tua is good for Mike McDaniel's system, but he's not going to go anywhere else. Just like Kirk Cousins is absolutely amazing for Kevin O'Connell's system, and now he's somewhere else and he's not good. I'm not saying Brock Purdy would have been great if he got drafted by any other team. There's a reason he went in the 7th round. I think he can be great in this system.
I like the little bubble, the thumbs up bubble.
Yeah, what was that?
I don't know. I think if you throw a hand up or you point, it puts a thumbs up on the screen. I don't know what that's about.
Did I point at you?
I guess. I don't know.
I've been angry at you today. I even used a sweetie, which I never do. That was weird.
I know. If I did that, by the way, woo.
Yeah, I don't normally do that. That was rude. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. By the way, we should let people know that we're going to be doing a show together in January. I am going to Texas for my 40th birthday. We're going to actually meet in person. We're going to hang out. You're going to get to meet Erin, my wife. It's going to be super fun. So I'm super excited about that next month.
Oh my goodness, it's going to be so much fun. So excited. We're going to be in the same room. That's crazy.
I know, for the first time ever. And now you're like texting my wife, which is like making me nervous. I was like, I don't know.
Oh yeah, you told her I was a huge planner. I could not be more type B in my life. I don't plan anything, but I'll go along with it for her to be happy.
Con JKJ says maybe we should have kept Sam Darnold and let Purdy loose. I wonder, do you think when Kyle Shanahan's head hits the pillow and everything, because of everything that's going on with Sam Darnold, do you think he wonders that? Like, man, maybe we should re-sign Sam.
No.
You don't think so?
If you want to lose in the wild card round, sure.
I agree. I mean, I don't expect them to do anything. I think it's funny that people are like, well, Brock Purdy, you can't let Brock Purdy go. He's really good. But then you're going to say, well, he's not going to get $60 million because he's not good enough for that. And it's like, well, then if he's not good enough for that, then why do you want that guy?
He can be good enough for that. He can. I mean, if he had a season like last year, he'd be getting $60 million a year. And the only reason I think they can get him on the cheap is because he was the 7th round pick and because his alternative is playing on like a $1 million deal. Like, it's not like he was a 1st round pick where he can wait this out. He has not made money in the NFL yet. I know he's had his side little gigs, but also those are small, like the randomest companies that he's with. I don't know. I'm sure he's getting a decent amount of money from that. This is his time to cash in for his family, for his kids, for his kids. And I'm sorry, if you get a chance to bring in I'm trying to do 45 times 3 real quick. $135 million. You take that and you don't worry about the extra $30-40 million you're leaving on the table.
Easy for you to say.
I think I would easily take $135 million if I was given the opportunity. Yes, that is easy for me to say.
Yeah, sure. Just leave $30 million in a sport where the next play.
Or you could be leaving the whole, that's the risk though. Okay. So yeah, you have to maybe leave that $30 million. Or if you don't take it and you stink again next year, you lost out on $135 million.
Brock's got some leverage though. Think about it, right? What did we just say earlier in the show? Oh, the Niners can't screw around with this contract. They got to get it done. Brock knows that. His agent knows that. If I'm Purdy, this is how I play it. He can sign a new contract at the end of the regular season. He doesn't have to wait until the new league year in March. He is eligible for a new contract the second the regular season ends. If I'm Brock Purdy, I tell them, if I haven't told them already, I'm not doing a damn thing unless I get a new contract next year. And you just sit there and you do nothing. And you have your agent make it known. I will hold out until I get a new contract. Because what have we seen with the 49ers? Eventually they pay up. So I just sit there and do nothing. And I wait for the 49ers to make me an offer. And they will get so much criticism if they don't have Brock Purdy. Can you imagine if they don't have Brock Purdy signed and he's holding out? Brock's not going to get criticized. The 49ers are going to be the one that gets criticized because of what happened with Trent Williams and Ayuk and Bosa and all these guys. Brock has leverage here, big time.
Sure.
You don't think he does?
I think he has leverage. I think both sides have. I think it's going to get done fast. I don't think it's going to be crazy 60 million. Like, I don't think it's going to be this crazy contract. It probably won't be a crazy amount of guarantees either, right? But we'll see what it ends up being.
Yeah, we got plenty of time to discuss the Brock Purdy holdout. Last thing before we go, I didn't get any bets. We didn't get any bets from you and really me. I gave a couple, but nothing serious yesterday. I know you saw a couple of lines for week, what is this, 15? Whatever it is, that you like. Do you have anything that jumped out to you where people should put down their shekels?
So let me look at what the line is for the Bills because I really like the Bills against the Lions. I think that game should just be great overall. They're getting plus 1.5 points. I just think they're going to win the money line. You could take it at plus 125. The Lions have had to blitz quarterbacks like crazy with all of their injuries. And Josh Allen is an absurd superhuman man against the blitz. So he's going to eat them apart. And then on the other side, the Bills are a very, very heavy zone defense, which Jared Goff struggles against zone defense. All of his 11 interceptions this year have come against zone coverage. So he dominates against man, bad against zone. So I think the Bills are going to beat up on the Lions.
Buffalo coming off an emotional loss to the Rams. That's interesting. That game is going to be so much fun to watch. It'd be nice to watch some high-level football for a change. Before we go, is the third. Thank you very much for the donation. Says, do you feel that there's another level to Purdy's game? I feel like his Super Bowl performance was the best we'll see of him and the best quarterback that Kyle has coached under his system. I don't know. Earlier this year, I thought that he was taking his game to another level, but it didn't continue. It fell off. And I feel like it fell off because teams got more film on him. Now they know his tendencies. It's not just physical limitations, it's tendencies. I feel like you can see teams leaving guys open underneath because they know Brock is not going to take those. He's going to force it down the field, and they are ready and waiting when he does, especially because he doesn't have the arm to maybe sneak the ball into some places. You know, if you have a rocket arm, you can get away with a couple of bad decisions if you throw it in the perfect spot with enough velocity. Brock just doesn't have that. So I don't know if there's another level to his game. I thought there might be, but now I'm not sure.
Another level can be the scrambling. I want to see him keep doing that.
Which he has stopped, really. I mean, he was doing it earlier this year, and he was having a lot of success with it. Now, did he stop because his shoulder's banged up and he doesn't want to risk it? I don't know. He wasn't taking a bunch of hits earlier in the year when he was doing it. He does a good job of protecting himself. But, yeah, he didn't run at all yesterday, and it was frustrating because – especially like when things are kind of bogged down with the offense, and especially when the running game itself is struggling, that can help keep you ahead of the chains and keep the train moving down the tracks a little bit. And that has disappeared recently.
Yep, it has. Well, that's the season for us.
Unfortunately, we still got a few games to go. If you are just joining us for the first time, you are joining at kind of a low point, not going to lie. But don't worry, we will be here for you. We're live every single weekday. We're live after every Niners game, after all breaking news. There's going to be a ton of it this offseason. These last 4 weeks of the regular season are going to be not as exciting as some of the earlier weeks, but trust me, this offseason is going to be juicy. The 49ers are never boring, and I think we're going to see some big changes. If you want more from Michelle, you can follow her on X at BallBlastem. She's also on Blue Sky. Just search Michelle Magdziuk, Magdziuk. And if you want more from us, we'll be live on the Bleacher Report app, 1 p.m. Pacific time today. We'll be breaking down more of this. De'Vondre Campbell will probably be cut by then, so we'll have some fun talking about his release, and hope you join us for that as well. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. Have a good weekend, everybody. We'll talk to you next week.
Bye, y'all.